Hi guys, I'm Woodcraft Hamster and I thought I'd carry on with our Kuksa carve today. Now obviously last episode we split the two kuksas down into their respective pieces so that we can carry on with the roughing out. And what I've done off camera today is this. Now basically all I've done is taken off the majority of the waste wood with my saw. And personally I find that is the quickest and easiest and most sort of energy efficient way of doing it. Tend to find that 10 minutes of work with the saw is the equivalent of maybe half an hour or more with the axe. Now this still does need some axe work and I'll be moving on to that probably on the next episode, but for this one what I'm going to do is take this one that's not been touched since last time and basically just run you through how I would go about cutting this down with the saw. So I'm just going to move the camera a little bit closer in and we'll make a start. Right then guys, so for this video I'm going to be using my Kataba saw just because it's new and I'm quite enjoying using it. But to be honest, I've done this with silky saws, I've done this with Laplanders, you can even use, a good old-fashioned standard sort of, DIY store wood saw. Now what I've done on my carving stump, I've just screwed in this little off-cut piece of wood. It's a really useful shape this, so if you have got a bit of waste wood lying around where maybe you've not tried splitting it and the split's not gone your way, keep that wood, and by screwing this into the bench it just gives me a nice positive stop. You could split it down even further so that it's got a sort of a flat face on it, but for my purposes this is fine. And what we're going to be doing, hopefully you can see here, you can just see the two pencil lines I've got there for the handle, and the first cut I'm going to make is literally just straight down to this handle, probably leave about 1/4 of an inch away from the bowl because we don't want to get too close to that bowl. So if I start maybe here and literally just make a cut straight down to that line. And do you know what, I was thinking about fast forwarding through some of this footage, but this is such a fast saw I don't think I'm going to need to. So there you can see the cut going down just shy of the line, which is where I wanted it. And what we're going to do next is actually cut down this side. Now you can split this off. I could take something like an axe and split down, but because we've put quite a lot of work into this already, I don't want to risk that split running off in the wrong direction and landing in the bowl. So for this video I'm actually going to cut down to the line, and one of the benefits of making this in two parts is now that I've cut them in half, I've got a nice flat surface here, so when I put this on my carving bench it's pretty secure. Now if we'd started shaping this with the axe first, this would have been rolling all over the place. So it's just a little benefit of doing that. Now what I want to do is line up my two saw cuts. I'm just doing that by eye, and then we will cut down to that line. Oh, how close are we? Right, we've got a little way to go on the front and a little way to go on the back. And you don't want to rush this part, guys. Just make sure you take it nice and slow. Keep an eye on where your lines are going. And that's what we're left with. So this is now waste wood. This kind of thing, do you know what, I tend to keep this around in my workshop just because they're quite useful. You can use them as chocks and that kind of thing. And what we've got here is this complete piece of waste wood removed. Cut's gone a little bit further there than my line, it's fine, we can tidy that up later. And what I'll do, I'm just going to cut the other one down, and I'll probably do that off camera because you don't need to see it twice, and we'll come back when we're ready to go to the next part. Right then guys, so there is our handle piece sawn down, and again this has probably taken me about 7 or 8 minutes to do both sides with a saw. If I was trying to do this with an axe and a knife, I mean, I would budget at least 25-30 minutes to do that, and it certainly wouldn't be quite as tidy as this. Now that we've got these little sorry, get you back in the camera. Now that we've got these little sections here, this little piece comes into its own again, because what we can do is we can butt that up against the side of it. It doesn't have to be completely level, but what I'm now going to do is just knock off these corners here and here. You don't have to do this with a saw, you can do this when you come to do your axe work, but I do tend to find that it helps a lot because you're just removing very quickly these pieces of waste wood, and it just takes you a lot less time and effort. And I'm reasonably sure that, you know, woodworkers of old, before the advent of power tools and machine tools and things like that, you know, everybody would have had a saw of some description, maybe not something like this, but you know, back then it was very much about, you know, economy of effort and getting as much work done for as least time and effort as possible. And if a saw was available, it will certainly do that for you, and I'm pretty sure that's what would have been used. So that's number one, and then number two, if I just come around this side, and hopefully I'm not blocking the camera too much, and we'll do this one as well. I'm trying to leave sort of 1/4 to 1/2 inch round the edge, just so we've got plenty of material to play with later on. Might come in at a bit of a better angle than that. And there we go. So we've now definitely got the beginnings of our kuksa. And then for these two corners here, what I tend to do is come in at an angle. So because we can't get the saw realistically like this, because we'll be coming across our handle no matter which way we do it, I tend to try and come in from the side. So what you can do is you can lock your piece of work down sort of partly like this. I mean, you can come across here. You know, you can do it any way you like. Maybe I'll do it like this. Yeah, you can see me from there. So coming in from the side, you just need to sort of look down the blade of your saw and see where that saw cut's going to end up. So if I was to go like this, I know that this is going to turn up inside my bowl, and if you just roll the saw forwards, you can see where that line is going to travel down your piece of work. So what I tend to do is start off somewhere like here. I can see that my saw blade will end up roughly down here, which is where I want it to go. Now this may not stay as stable as I want it to, so I'll just play it by ear. And again, we've got a lot of movement going around, so you can always move along, find a better position somewhere where it's a little bit more stable to get back into that saw cut. And again, this is the real fiddly part, because this is where it does start moving around a lot, and you just need to try and you know, get it locked up against something as best you can. Obviously you can do this in a vise as well. So there we go, and what we've got here is we've got quite a pronounced corner here, and that is very easily rectified. You just come out here, and we're done. So I'm just going to tidy up these other sides, and I'll come back when we're nearly ready to finish. Right then guys, so we are now starting to look much more like a kuksa, and there's two more cuts I want to do this to this today before we're ready to start moving on with the axe. One of them is going to be diagonally down here, and the other diagonally down here. Now we know that the depth of our kuksa is quite shallow, so I put my finger in there. We're talking basically this from my thumb to the end of my finger, so basically down to about here. So as long as I cut from below here, we're going to be fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up here, probably about halfway, sort of where the centre of the bowl would be, and I'm going to cut in at an angle. Now I'm using the back of my thumb to support the saw, and I'm coming in at a not too aggressive angle, let's say, but sort of certainly just enough to get a good sort of cut in. Now these kind of cuts can be quite difficult to get started because the wood doesn't naturally want to be cut this way. Sometimes it helps if you start off on the corner somewhere, and it helps you get that cut established. Right, and now you can see we've got both of these cuts through to the other side of the handle, and what I now want to do is come down from the top here to meet these cuts. And again, this is the part where you haven't got a great hold on the wood because you've taken away most of the excess at this point. So we got there in the end, and as I say, that is the toughest part of doing these cuts. The wood generally doesn't want to be cut down this way, especially when it's been left out like this for a bit. But generally that's what we're looking for. And then the final cut is going to be much the same but across this way. So again, I'll measure my depth with my thumb. I know we need to come to about here, so I can afford to probably take off this chunk here, which may let me do it slightly easier if I come in from the side. And there we go. So I can tidy this up a bit more with the saw. I may take this a little bit off later on, haven't quite decided yet. I could even come across this way to try and round this out a bit more. But all in all, this is basically our roughed out template for our Kuksa. Right then guys, so there you go, our two Kuksas are now certainly starting to look like Kuksas, and I mean, to be fair, they would work absolutely fine like this. If you're anything like me, I'm sure you're looking at them thinking they don't look very nice. Absolutely not, they don't, but they would work functionally. But next episode I think we'll spend a bit of time refining them down, making them look a little bit nicer, probably use the axe, may move on to the knife, may save that for the episode after that. But anyway guys, that was it. This episode did take a lot longer, or has lasted a lot longer than I thought it would, so I may well, when I come to edit this, speed through some of that footage. I hadn't intended to, but I think we're probably topping about 20 minutes now, so I'll see what I can do to shorten that down. But I hope you enjoyed it. Comment some questions in the box below. Hit like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I hope you'll all join me next time. Thanks guys.